Right. So first, what we are going to do is, so we'll do a very quick revision. It's a revision in the sense we are on. I'm going through all your UCSC notes, okay, for the web, because the last year web paper is pretty much. I can't say it is a difficult paper, but they have asked, because the examiner knows that these are the obvious things, these are the non-obvious things. The examiner has asked every look those nook and corners. What we are going to do is very quickly, it won't take more than 1 hour. I am going to go through your slides one by one very quickly. Okay, right. So that is the first thing I want to do, because one of you have asked a maths question. We'll take it after this. Okay. Software engineering. Sorry, not software engineering, the web development. And also now you have to fight for every marks. Maybe that particular marks may decide whether you pass or fail, whether you get B or C plus. So therefore, if you have even a slightest doubt about an answer, right, that they have given, they may publish the other things as well. Of course, you don't have to do it these days. You can just concentrate on your semester 2, but immediately after your semester 2 exams, just take your answer sheets and check. And if you feel like, no, my answer is correct, right, you can either post it to the WhatsApp group or personally to me if you want to double check. Okay, so then you have to send the email to that particular email address. Every subject they have separate email addresses they have published, specifically mentioned this is the question number, this is the answer given, but I feel like this should be the answer. So don't think that it is the wrong thing, it is genuine thing, this is degree level, right? So they never take it negatively, otherwise they don't publish like that. Okay, so that is a very good culture, right? So therefore use it, fight for every marks. Okay, fight for every marks, and make sure that you fight for every marks. Okay, so if you send it to me also, I can consolidate those things and send it as a one mail as well. Okay, for each subject, don't send multiple different subjects together. Just send your one subject one mail to that particular email address. Okay, so do that for your semester 2 as well. When they publish the semester 2 answers, you have to fight for your marks. Okay, right. So let's move on to the first topic, uh, the introductory part. So I will highlight few things that the examiner may ask, because now I have, because the examiner has changed actually the last year definitely. So therefore the examiner is a little bit right. So very aggressive examiner this time we are having. Right. So here I hope you can understand what is World Wide Web, and especially concentrate what is Web 1.0. It is read web. They publish, the consumers just use it. Then Web 2.0, read and write. The viewers can publish also. That is where the blogging, social media, social bookmarking came. Then the Web 3.0, read, write, and execute web, right? Or semantic web. It's not only read and write, there are some executing things as well. Okay, so that is Web 3.0. Then Web 4.0 is pretty much the mobile web. Okay, mobile web. More focus on, while you have all the other things, a lot of focus on small devices, because all of a sudden people came from uh, laptops and desktop to the smartphones with the Android, iOS, etc. And of course, now we are talking about Web 5.0 is, it's all about, it's, I can't say all about, it's pretty much about emotional intelligence, artificial intelligence, right? So that kind of things where we try to collaborate with Okay, sorry, I got disconnected. Right. So it's all about intelligent web or the emotional web. Okay. So read web, read write web, read write execute web, mobile web, then emotional and intelligent web. Okay. So make sure that you remember those things. Okay. Right. So I'm not telling you the obvious things. Okay. I'm just talking the important things. Right. And also you must know what is a tag or element, what is attribute, and what is entity, right? But what is the purpose of element? Concept, represent a concept. Attributes provide more information about that. Element, entity, a placeholder for something else. And also attributes, you write it within double quotes or single quotes. Okay, attribute values. Attribute names, you don't have to write it in the quotes. Okay, and there are some toggle attributes where you just write the attribute only, so that presence of the attribute or not present, non-presence of the attribute. Okay, right. So then you can see that they have a lot of attention on this quotation and citation. So I think they had asked question on that last time also, right? So because we didn't pay a lot of attention to these tags in the class, therefore I just want to emphasize it today. What are those tags? Abbreviation, ABBR, address, BDO, okay, text direction, block code, site, and quote. What we discussed in the class was quote and block quote. I didn't discuss the other things, and these things are not mentioned in your ours note as well, right? So quote means it will just add this quote signal, right? Block quote means it will sort of a indent, right? Indent and make it a little bit stand out. So that is called block quote, right? So then these are pretty much semantic things. Cite means it's pretty much you are referring to something else, like giving a reference. It's more semantic than something you can users can see, but it can be seen as a link as well. Citing, abbreviation means it's a abbreviation, or you can use it for acronyms as well. Okay, so the address can be used to provide the contact information for the author or owner of the document. So those are new tags actually. I can't remember what is the use of BDO, but do a Google search, right? It's very important. Do a Google search, because examiner is going to ask not about Q or quote or block quote or site. He is going to ask, I'm pretty sure, something like this, which is usually we don't use. Unfortunate reality is something like that. Examiner is not going to ask what is widely we use. Examiner is going to ask something we never use. Okay. So therefore, pay attention to these kind of things. Do a Google search and find out exactly what is this, what is this, what is this, and usages. Okay. Right. So they have given examples on the quotes, right? Quotes. So Q tag. So the Q tag will add these double quotes. Okay. So that is something we already know. Then block quote, it is just going to make it stand out, right? Other than that, there is no way the user can see whether it's a block quote or not. Usually it will add a little bit of indentation. I don't know why this is not showing it. Usually it will give a little bit of left indentation as well. Other than that, it's not going to give you anything else. Okay, because browsers usually indent the block quote elements, right? But okay, but this output is not indenting, but yes, usually it will indent. Other than that, there's nothing. And also in the block quote, you can see site is attribute. You can see it's very so they say site is at sort of a tag, but you can see site is attribute. There you can say from where you refer to that, right? From where you get these particular quotes. Okay. So what else they have used? You can see the ABBR, right? ABBR. So they have only mentioned WHO, but when you get the cursor, you can see that in a small window, like a status message, it shows World Health Organization. So ABBR is a tag, and it has attribute called title. That title, you can see it in a small status window. So pay a lot of attention to those things. Definitely they are going to ask these things, okay? Because last time I think they hadn't asked about the ABBR, okay? So then this is right. So here you can see there's something called video, right? So what is video? If your browser supports bidirectional override, the next line will be written from right to left. Oh, so that is video. So video means it is right, it's written from right to left. So is that the explanation they say? Yeah, define the text direction. So usually we write it from left to right. But if you want to write it from right to left, you just write it in normal way, but you just have the video, then it will be written from right to left. You can see that this blah blah blah, right? THIS. So it is, you have to read it from right to.
So RTL කියලා දෙන්න ඕනේ නේද? Right to left.
RTL කියලා දෙන්න ඕනේ. මට මතක නැහැ මොකද RTL කියන්නේ කියලා. Anyone?
Right to left වෙන්න ඇති.
Sorry?
Right to left. Right to left වෙන්න ඇතිනේ.
Right to left. So by default, if it's left to right, you don't need video, but if it is you have to go it from right to left, you have to give it as RTL, right? RTL, yes. So that is something you have to remember again. It's a good point because otherwise I will forget it, right? So make sure that you have the video tag as well as the direction or DIR attribute. You make sure that you give it as RTL. Just double check whether are there any other values for the DIR attribute as well. Okay, so just make a note of that, because the examiner may ask whether are there any other things, and if it is left to right, of course you don't need video, but anyway there might be a value for that also, maybe left to right LTR or something like that. Okay, right. So then in the HTML we have the root tag is HTML, then you have the head and body. Now remember, having head is not a must. That is very important thing to remember. In modern HTML, having head is not a must. If you want, you can just forget about the head and just have your CSS and JavaScript or anything else. You can write it inside the HTML tag as well directly. Okay, and actually having body is also not a must these days. Whatever the paragraph, H1, H2 tables, those kind of things will be displayed in the web page. And so therefore it's not a must, but the best practice is still we like to keep those head and body tags. Okay, and of course title is in the head tag. Okay, right. So heading levels, remember how many headings are there, because the examiner might ask even those, right? You can see that there's a H1 to H6, there's nothing called H7. Okay, right. So then the BR tag, how to write comments, right? So HTML comments, if someone views those, he or she can see it, but not in the window. Okay, right. So then the color, remember last time also the examiner had asked 1 or 2 questions on colors. So we have the RGB, but it has to be in hexadecimal. Okay, hexadecimal with the hash. It's very important, you must have the hash. And also if it is always, this must be between 00 to FF. 00 means nothing, FF means full. So therefore nothing green, nothing blue, full red means it's red color, right? 00 FF 00 means pure green. Likewise 0000 FF means pure blue. If all are 0, it is black, because nothing is there means it's dark black, and everything is 100% means white, right? Everything is 100% means white color. Okay, yeah. So then you, if you want, you can give them the names also. So there are for well-defined colors you have the names. Okay, and there's another way, that is this approach, RGB, and within brackets you give the red value, green value and blue value in decimal numbers with comma separator. But most of the browsers this does not work, but they consider this also as a valid approach, but I don't know why it is not supported by a lot of browsers these days. Okay, but anyway, your note also mentioned about that, and the color names and the hexadecimal values. Okay, right. So then the I tags, B tags, U tags. Okay, superscript, subscript, strike. Right, strike means line in the middle. Okay. Then you have the mark tag. Right, mark tag is going to make it sort of highlighted. Okay. Right, so this mark is actually not used at all. Right, so people will actually people will sort of laugh at you if you are using marquees, because these were all concept. Now these days we don't use these, but anyway, you better know about this. Marquee means it will sort of animate, and your text will be moving from usually right to left. Okay, so you can just have it and see it's sort of animated text. Okay, marquee. And you can change the direction, because by default I think it's right to left. Okay, you can try out these things. You can change the direction even right, up, down, etc. You just try out and go, because I'm pretty sure the examiner may ask a question on this year. Okay, and the width means how much of a width that marquee effect will be effective, right? So best thing is you just give it a try. Okay, I'm not going to try out those things because it will take a lot of time. Okay, right. So then the paragraph is there, the HR tag, horizontal ruler. You can give the color, width, and align. Right, width, color, and align. Width is usually given in a percentage, but it should work with pixels as well. Okay, so by default align is left, but if you want to align center and right is available. Right, so then there are three type of list: ordered list, unordered list, and the definition list. Okay, and both are having the li, and how to change the style. You can use style or the type. Okay, so style is the better approach. That is, you are using CSS, list style, type, circle, square, disk, etc. And you can change the start value and also the step. Okay, and if you want, you can make it reverse also. If it is a I don't know why you are having a start value for okay, that is ordered list. Yes, right, ordered list. So then it will be 50, 51, etc. Right, so make sure you know those things. Okay, right. So then the DD and the DT and DD, definition title, definition data, definition data. Okay, definition title and the definition data. Okay, DT and DD inside the DL definition list. We did those things. Okay, we did those things. Then the tables, that I think we discussed a lot of things, right? Table, the TR, then either you can have TD or TH. Either TD or TH. TH can be any place, right? Any place. There's nothing called it must be the first one or the last one, left column. There's, you can put anything anywhere. The moment you have a TD, it is going to be differentiate from your T. H is going to be differentiate from TD for two reasons. First thing is it is bold. Other thing is it is center line. Okay. Right. So then the row span and col span we discuss enough, right? If you want to go for something like that, you have to have a col something like this. Make sure you have col span. For this, have the row span, and also you can combine col spans and row spans together as well. And remember last time they had asked a question on caption, right? So caption is used to keep the write the caption. Usually you use it between the table tag and the first TR tag, right? Usually, but it is not a must, right? You can keep it after the last TR row, even if I think in between TRs, but always caption will go to the I think bottom, right? I can't remember. Just I think we did those examples. I think that goes to the bottom. Okay, it doesn't matter where you have the caption tag. I think it goes either to the bottom or top. Just double check. Okay, so then the T head, T foot. Remember last time they had asked a question. Regardless of where you have your T head and T foot, T head is always top and T foot is always bottom, right? Remember they had checked that one also. Okay. Now you can see the examiner has marked that, right? Creates the footer of the table that appears at the end of the table. So therefore, it doesn't matter whether you write your T foot above the T head, still T foot will be displayed at the end of the table. Okay, and T head will be at the top. Okay, head of the table. Right? It is not by the position, it is the table, the tag name that matters. And of course, in between you have the T body. Okay, but those are optional. So you can write the table without T head, T foot, T body as well. But it's always better to use these things because those are having some semantic meaning for web crawlers as well. Okay. Right. So then images, you have the SRC. Remember they had even asked which tags have SRC, which tags do not have SRC, right? So very confusing questions the examiner has asked, right? So EMG has the SRC, then the ALT. If the image is not displayed for some reason, the ALT description will be there, and of course you can have the width and height, which can be given in pixels. Okay, pixels. I'm not very sure whether you can give width in percentage as well. Usually height you can't give it in a percentage, but just double check whether you can give the width as a percentage of the screen window width as well. Right, I think that possibility is there, but not for the height. Heights you can't give it as a percentage because different computer screens have different heights. Okay, therefore they don't allow percentages for height, only for widths. And of course the align, right? Left, right, default it's left. Okay. You can have top, middle, and bottom as well. Okay. Align. Yes. Just double check. Try out these things because these are very important. Right. Double check what is exactly happening when top, middle, and bottom. What you code right. So then you can have figures. Remember last year they had asked this, right? Figure. So figure can have the image and figure caption, right? Figure can be having, because when you have a figure, it's something like a semantically, we say that we have figure there, table there, etc. Okay. So your image is going to just act like normal image. Okay. So this is just a CSS, right? And optionally you can have the figure caption, and also double check whether if figure caption is above, whether the figure caption goes above the image. So those are the things that you have to double check and go, right? Make a note in your note itself and remember and go, right? Because if they ask, check whether you know whether the T foot is always below, whether it's though you are mentioning it above, why don't they may again ask if you are having the figure caption top, is it top, or if it is in the bottom, is it bottom, or is it always bottom, right? So just try out those things and go. Right, so then the href, we discussed that, and also how to specify path, right? So the absolute path, that is always starting from the root folder, right? It's not COD because we can change our web server time to time. So therefore we never go for, when we say absolute path, it is not from your disk drive, your root folder, right? Root folder. But relative path means it is relative to the current folder. Okay, so dot will be used to go to the parent folder. Okay, the relative path absolute path. Right? So this is from the root folder, A subfolder, C subfolder, the CCC HTML. Okay. So this slash is the root. Okay. So then you can see A folder, you can see root. Actually, you don't have to create a folder called root, but that will be your root folder. Okay. Relative means if you are here, if you want to refer to this one, you have to say dot dot, then you are in A, right? Dot dot. Now say you are referring, your code is written in this HTML, maybe image is here. Then you have to say dot dot slash C slash CCC dot HTML. If you go for the relative path, if you go for the absolute path, it is slash A slash C CCC HTML. Okay, so that is how it goes. Okay. Right. And also make sure you try out those things practically. BIT is not a degree where you can take a piece of note, go to the bed and do it. No, it's not going to work. Right. So you have to take to your laptop or whatever, desktop, and do those things practically. Okay. Right. So these are some subfolders and how we are going to refer to those locations. Okay. And remember this bookmarks hash value, so that refer to a particular ID. Okay, particular ID. So this is the file name hash the ID or the section. Okay, so that we discuss. It can be same page, then you just have the hash part, or it can be a different page and a location, or it can be even a location on a page on a different website as well, different domain as well. Okay. And so this is definitely the same page, different sections. Okay. And this is where you have defined. It can be either name or ID. Okay. May hash within දාන එක පාඩ එක්ක මේක name එක විදිහට දීලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් ID එක විදිහට දීලා තියන්න පුළුවන්. හරි. Both are going to work. So when you click on this hyperlink, it will come to this location will be come to the top of the window. Okay. So name or ID, both works. Right. So then how to make image link buttons. Button එකකට කොහොමද අපි image එකක් දාන්නේ? ඒක උදාහරණයක් දීලා නැහැ නේද? නෑ දීලා නැහැනේ. කොයි image එකද දාන්නේ? මේකෙන්. So we have the A close by A, and in between A you have the image. Then that image is actually it is not a button. That is, image is working as a hyperlink. Of course, if it looks like a button, then of course the user will consider it as a button. Okay. Right. So then how to link to an email? It's very important. Again, A. It's not name. I think it must be href. Okay. I think this can be a misspelling, because the example is correct. A href, right? But you have to say that mail to colon your to email address, and additionally you can write the title, CC, BCC, and even a body, right? Sample body, right? So that is mentioned in our note because the examiner may ask, right? You have to edit them as a sort of a query string. What is the CC emails, BCC emails, title, body, etc. Okay. And also you can link to a PDF files, MP3 files, then of course it will be downloaded, or if there's a player, of course it won't be executed, it will be downloaded. Okay, zip file, etc. Right. So then the image map. So this is very famous question for the examiner, because the examiner can ask complex questions. Now you know that when they mix those things, these questions can be extremely tough, because the way examiner asks is he will just throw some text at you and ask which one is the correct order or something like that. Okay, so therefore you must be 100% sure about these concepts. Okay, right. So image map, there are circular image maps, polygon and rectangle. Okay, so you must know exactly how to define a circle. Circle, we have to give the center and the radius, 3 parameters. The first 2 parameters are the coordinate of the center. Remember, this is your x-axis, this is your y-axis, this is considered as 0, 0. Sorry, this is your I think this is x, this is y, or this is, yeah, this is x, this, that, double check that also. I think this is x, this is y. Okay, so then if it is 20, 30, 20 here and 30 here, just double check in the note. Okay, so that is your center, then radius is 20, something like that. If it is a rectangle, so this is your top left, right, top left coordinates, and then you have the right, bottom right coordinates, right? So 20, 30 and 45, 56. Okay, so that's all you have to give. You don't have to give width and heights, because by these two it can calculate the width and height. And if it is a polygon, just double check what are those. Okay, I think maybe these coordinates, I can't remember. Just double check and go to the exam. Okay, just do Google search polygon image map and double check what are these coordinates values are. Okay, අනිවාර්යෙන් double check කරන්න. මම මොකද ඒක මට බලන්න හම්බුනේ නැහැ, වෙලාවක් හම්බුනේ නැහැ. මොකද අපේ note එකේ polygon ගැන අපි concentrate කරේ නැහැ. Circle එකයි rectangle එකයි විතරයි දුන්නේ. I am going to update the note, but you are not going to get that note the next batch. So therefore ඒ ටික මම ඒකවට මේ ආයි මතක් කරගෙන යන්නේ. Right, so image map. So first you must have the image, just a img, and you have to say use map and a name with a hash, and then the same name must be used for your map, right? Map, and map can have the name, that is the name you are giving in the img tag. You can have a number of areas, right? You can even have different shapes like rectangular, circular, polygon, etc. Okay, and different areas can be linked to different pages or different websites as well. There also you have the ALT. Okay, there also you have the ALT. Right? You can see the meaning. So this is the first one vertex, and second another vertex. So A, B, C, D, F means the XY coordinates of vertex. Okay, vertices. So this is the center and the radius. So this is AB and CD. Okay, right. So when it comes to forms, you must know how to add a text box, password box, then the special cases like number, right, date, all are input and type only change. Number, date, telephone, okay, email, right? So many, right? So many. Then you have the drop down, the select box. Select box එකේ මේ අර multiple select කරන්න කොහොමද allow කරන්නේ, ඊළඟට කොහොමද අපි group කරන්නේ, ඒව බලා ගන්න ඕන. So then the radio buttons, input type radio, make sure you give the same name, then only they are grouped together. And then the check boxes, where you have to give different names. Then the file, that is again input type file. But for this text area, you have a different tag called text area. You can give the calls and rows. Okay, so these cancel, and so this is called the reset button. Oh, this is actually cancel, it's not reset. I think what they mean is reset. Reset means all your values, type values will be cleared. Send or submit means submit button. So button type reset, button type submit, or you can go for input type reset and input type submit. Okay, and the form, you have two main attributes. Method, it can be get or post, or it can be put and other things, but for you guys it's get and post. And the action, that is the page that is going to take care of your submitted data. If it is get, the data will be seen in the query string. right? As question mark equal this and equal this, blah, blah, blah. If it is post, again, data will be submitted, but it won't be displayed in the query string, okay, in the address bar. Especially make sure that you have pay attention to each and every element that they have mentioned, okay, type password, and you can even give the size, right? Otherwise it will be default size, right? This name is the one that is used in the query string, okay, name, right? The value will be something that you have typed, or if it is radio button or checkbox, the value that you are specified, okay, right? So then the drop down, so the pull down menus, we can drop down scale, multiple, if you have the multiple toggle attribute, multiple values can be selected, okay. And also these are how you are adding all the options, right? Options. Here you have to have the name. Here, if you don't specify the value, this display value will be sent. But if not, you can go for value equals some other value. Then that value will be sent. If someone select, say, pineapple, if the value is PNP will be submitted. Okay. Right. So then the radio buttons. Okay, so make sure that both, if it is those are related radio buttons, make sure the same name is given. Then only when one is ticked, others in the group will be unticked. Otherwise, they will be considered as independent radio buttons. Then the checkbox is also there. Right. Then the text area where you can give the rows and calls. Okay. Right. Then of course the submit, you can use either input tag or you can use the button tag. Okay. Right. So and then of course the reset, clear the stuff. Okay. Right. So these are the new input types introduced by HTML5: color, date time, local, email, month, number, range, search, tell, time, URL, week, etc. Okay. And make sure you know exactly what are those and how they look, etc. Okay, and what are the validations they do. Especially the number will validate, so that if you type something like a character hello, it won't be submitted by default, right? Email will validate the default the email format, okay, something like that. If it is color, of course, the color box will be there so that you can pick a color, and RGB value will be submitted. Okay. And also there's something called, I think, range or something. Yeah. So you can see type number. If you give min and max value, it will be displayed like this as well. Okay. And you can even give the step as well. So then it will be 0, 10, 20, up to 100. Okay. So pay attention to these things. If something is in the slide, examiner can ask definitely. So I'm pretty sure examiner will ask about this year, min, max, and the step. Okay, because I think last time he didn't ask anything about that. Right. And then this is when the type is date. Okay, type is date. And type is week also, you will get something like that, but you can only select weeks, not a date. Okay. Now, this is the type is month. Now you can select the months only. So you can't select individual dates. You can select using this, whether it's October, November, December, whatever. Okay. Right. So then you have the search input type as well, but search is not going to give you any additional features, right? You have to write the functionality, but it's more semantic than functionality. Okay. So these symbols says which browser has supported, which browser has not supported, but those are by the time these slides were prepared. So therefore, don't think too much about those things. Now these days, I think almost all the browsers support these things. Okay, because these slides were prepared, I think, last year. At that time, HTML5 was not supported by some browsers. You can see some fields Now you can see this one URL is not supported by this particular browser. I think this is Opera or something, or Edge. I can't. No, not Opera. I can't see. Maybe something else. Okay. Right. And the field sets. So last year paper also they had asked that field set. Okay. So field set is something we use to mark regions, right? Mark regions. You can see actually field set is pretty much a logical things, but this legend will be mentioned here or the displayed here, and you can see that these things are now logically marked to a particular area. Okay, inside field set you can have the legend, so that legend is displayed here. Okay, and inside that you just have your normal text boxes, drop down radio buttons, etc. Right, so then frames. So pay a lot of attention to the frames. Okay, lot of attention to the frames, because they have asked a lot of questions last year also on the frames. Okay, so by default you can have vertical frames, horizontal frames. Those are the normal frames, and also you can have the iframes where you can specify a rectangular area anywhere in your web page. Okay, right, and also you can give it a name. So when you give it a name, if you have a hyperlink and if you want to load a particular page to a particular frame, you can give that frame name as the target. Okay, frame name as a target. Right, so if you have frame, it's very important that you have it inside frame set. And if you have frame set, make sure you don't have the body. Okay, these tags are used in place of the body tag. If you have both frame set and body, usually your browser is not going to display the page properly, right? So that is something the examiner can ask again. Okay, so either your HTML page has head, body, etc., or just the head and then frame set. I don't have you can't have the body, because frame set is going to load some other pages. And also those pages that you are load into the frame set, no point having head sections and title, because these are different pages. Okay, of course they are not different pages, they are going to be part of the parent page. So therefore it's title and other things are important for your parent page also. Right, so then you can have your calls. So this is something we had some confusion last time when we were doing the paper. Okay, the method of split and the size of each frames are set up in the options. Calls attribute that splits the screen into left and right frames. Rows attributes split the screen into top bottom frames. So obvious rows means something like this. Calls means something like this. Okay, something like this. So if you want to break it into, say, 3 regions, maybe this is 25, this is 25, this is 50, you have to say 25%, 50%, 25%. So you want to break it into equal size 3 things, you have to say 33%, 33%, 33%. Okay. So if it is rows, size of the top frame, size of the bottom, actually not only size of the top frame, size of the bottom, the size of the first frame, size of the second frame, size of the third frames, etc. And when you add those, it has to be 100, whether it's rows or calls. Okay. And where do we use these frame set names? If you have a hyperlink and if your target is a frame, when you click on this hyperlink, the page will be loaded in this particular frame having this name. Okay. That is why the name attribute is important for a frame. Okay, because we can set the target of a hyperlink to a frame. Right. So sometimes browsers may not support frames. Right. So therefore, when you're adding frames, it's best practice to have no frames tags as well, and give a small description or message saying that, okay, your browser does not support frames. Okay. These tags define the content of the web page to be displayed for browsers that do not support the frame function. If frames are not supported by a particular browser, whatever the content inside your no frames tag will be displayed rather than the frames. Okay. Right. So I forget to look at those things. Make sure you look at, you know exactly what is mean by the star, number, etc., etc. Okay. I forgot to have a look at that because I have never used this star value. Just go to do a Google search and double check what is exactly this meaning of star, something like that. Okay. When we say 159 and star, what does it mean? Right. Actually, I forget to have a look at it. Okay. But you have to look at it before going to the exam. You are not kids now. Yeah, you are doing a degree. Right. And of course, you can set the target to a particular frame name. Then when you click on the link, this page will be loaded in this particular frame. Okay. Frames not supported in HTML. Frame set not supported in HTML5. Frame, no frames not supported. You know, I can't understand what you're telling. Frames not supported, frame set not supported, no frames not supported. What do you mean by that?
HTML5 එකේ support නැහැ කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ W3 schools එකේ.
කිව්වට එහෙම උනාට පේනව නේද? browser වල තාම. frames දැම්මොත් එම් frame set දැම්මොත් එම් තාම යා පෙන්නනව නේද? අපි ටෙස්ට් කරලා ආවද නේද? හරි. මම හිතන්නේ support නැහැ තමයි. support නැහැ කියන්නේ ඒක deprecated කරලා ඇත්තේ. හරි depreciated කරලා ඇත්තේ. මම හිතන්නේ තාම browsers වල පෙන්නනවා. හැබැයි but what they say is don't use it, right? Don't use it in the future. It won't be supported. හැබැයි exam එක බලද්දී ඒක අමතක කරලා දාන්න, because in the exam mindset make sure you know all those things, because exam එක මම කියවර මාකේ කියන එකක් දැන් අවුරුදු 10කට විතර කලින් අත්හැරලා දාපු එකක් කියලා නේද? ඒක තාම ඔයාගේ note එකේ තියෙනවානේ. ඒකත් මේවා theory ටික ඉගෙන ගන්න. හරි. Yes, the always they said don't use these things because these are no longer properly supported by browsers, and everyone is recommending go for iframes. But for exam perspective, make sure you know all these things and go. Okay. Because it's exam, we have a little bit narrow objective as well. Okay. Right. Underscore blank means new tab or new window if tabs are not supported. Underscore self means the same frame. Underscore parent means the parent frame of the current frame. Okay. The top frame means I think take the full window. The frame is the full screen open. Document into the full original window. Right. Right. So make up then Kalnu Katagara. If you want to, it's not sending a mail, it is going to start the client's email app. If the client machine has a configured email app like Outlook, when you click on the link, it will open that Outlook or Thunderbird or whatever with a new composing email with this as the to field. And here you can have additional things like CC, BCC, title, body as well. Okay. මෙතින් embed කරන්නේවත් දාලා. දැන් අපි කරන්නේ ගොඩක් අය audio video වලින් නේද? මේ ඇවිල්ලා මම හිතන්නේ background එකේ embed කරන්න ඕන නම් තමයි ඔය embed tag එක තියෙන්නේ. මම use කරලා නැහැ. try කරන්න මේ embed tag එක වැඩද කියලා හරි විශේෂයෙන් මේ loop එහෙම වැඩද කියලා බලන්න. loop කියන්නේ පොඩි clip එකක් දැම්මම clip එක වෙනම ආයි දිගින් දිගටම යයි. හරි. So src the width, height, play true means auto play මම හිතන්නේ. බලන්න. And quality also there, high low කියලා දාන්න පුළුවන් quality එකක්. ඔන්න ඔක්කොම බලාගෙන යන්න. With src with height, play, loop කියන්නේ I loop කරන්න කියන එක. And quality also you can control whether it's height, just double check what are the other possibilities. Okay, බලන්න මේ loop -1 වුණාම මොකද වෙන්නේ කියලා. Maybe only once it will play. Okay, just double check. මේක -1 දාලා තියෙන ඕක ගැන අහන්නම තමයි. ඕක ගැන අහන්නම තමයි. අනිවාර්යෙන් බලාගෙන යන්න මොකද loop එක -1 උත් වෙන්නේ කියලා. හරි. So that is embed. So then you have the BG sound. හරි, background එකේ sound එකක් විතර user mood control කරන්න බෑ ඒක. So that will be බලන්න ඔක වැඩ කරනවා කියලා මම නම් try කරලා නැහැ background BG sound එක. I think that should work, right? BG sound. Okay, අපි ඔක class එකේ වැඩි කතා කරේ නැහැ. ඇත්තටම කතා කරේ නැහැ BG sound. හරි. Right, embed. So we discussed the video and audio, right? It's very easy. That is a modern text actually. You can give the SRC, and also you can see that there also you have the autoplay and loop, as well as you have the control. The control ke attribute ඇති නේ, control attribute දැම්මොත් තමයි controls ටික පේන්නේ. නැත්නම් controls ටික පේන්නේ නැහැ. හරි, ඒක මතක තියාගන්න. මේකේ controls දාලා ඊට අමතරව type එක දෙන්න පුළුවන් audio mp3 ද නේද, video mp4 එහෙම කියලා. right, මේක කරලා තියෙන audio tag එක ඇතුලේ තමයි sources ටික දීලා තියෙන්නේ. So you can give multiple sources as well. Okay, right, so this is a video width and height and controls, and they have given only one source. Right, so then the iframes ගැන ගිය පාර අහපු නැති නේද, මේ පාර අහන්න තියෙන chance එක වැඩි කොහොමද iframes. හරි, so iframes are the modern recommended thing rather than the frames, and here you can put up a iframe anywhere, right? If the place where your iframe tag is there is the where the iframe is, something like an image. Okay, and you can control the height width of the iframe. Okay, so you can see iframe tag. You can have the width, height. You can even give it a name so that you can make it a target of a hyperlink and the SRC. Okay, so then this page will be loaded to this particular iframe with 300 and 200. So that is for file upload. You can even connect to a PDF, zip file, etc. Right, so then the code tag. Right, if you are displaying, say you are writing a tutorial on JavaScript or something. So when you write a code, JavaScript code, otherwise it will be executed by the browser thinking that it's a genuine JavaScript code. But what you are writing is a content to be displayed. So then make sure that you have those within code tag. So by default, it won't give you much styling. Some browsers do a little bit of styling, but you don't rely on the styling. Usually you can have your own CSS. Okay, but the main thing is it won't be executed. Otherwise, there's a possibility of it is interpreted as HTML tags, CSS tags, and JavaScript code. Okay. So HTML validation, ඔක අහන්නට තියෙනවා, කලින් අහලා තියුන්නේ නැහැ. So remember, HTML is a XML based language. XML is a meta language. So in XML we have a concept called the validation. Right? Validation means we can validate whether the document that you are sending is according to the expected structure. Remember, you can use DTD, schemas, right? DTD and schemas. So this is the DTD of HTML. So මේ HTML schema documents ඒගොල්ලෝ publish කරලා තියෙනවා W3C එක, World Wide Web Consortium එක. So if you want, you can just specify those as well, but those are not must actually. ඔක අත්‍යවශ්‍ය නැහැ. නමුත් සමහරු DTD එකත් ඔකට දානවා validate කරගන්න කියලා අවශ්‍ය කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම්. හරි. And it's very important to have the doc type HTML. අපි ගොඩක් අයට උතන doc type HTML කියලා ඉතරෙන් දාන්නේ. ඊළඟට මේක XML එකක් හන්දා, because this is HTML is also XML. Even you can have the XML version 1 encoding blah blah blah. Okay. Right. So then the meta tags, right? So the meta tags, the examiner did not ask, I think examiner, no questions were there on meta tags. So therefore, there's a very high chance this time they will ask, right? So the description, a little bit of description about the page, especially in search engine results, they will be using that description to be displayed in the search result, under the search results. Then the keywords, again, the search engines are really interested about those. Then the author, then you have the meta HTTP equivalence, which you can use to give the character sets. Okay, especially if you are using Sinhala, Tamil characters, Chinese characters, you have to give a proper character set. Otherwise, actually, it will be taking the default character set. මේ ටැග් ඔක්කොම එකම ටැග් එක name එක තමයි වෙනස් වෙන්නේ. name එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ ඊළඟ content කියන එක එකම attribute. මෙන්න මේ name තමයි දාන්නේ description, keyword, author කියන. හරි. මේවත් අහදුන මතකයි නේද? ඔයගොල්ලෝ ජීවිතේ හිතන්නේ නැහැ මේකේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහයි කියලා නේද? මේක අස්සෙත් අහවිලා අහලා තිබුණා නේ මිනිස්සයා නේද? ASCII වුණොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? නේද? ඊළඟට ANSI වුණොත් මොකද්ද තියෙන support, ISO වුණොත් නේ, UTF-8 කියන්නේ මොකද්ද මේ ටික බලාගෙන යන්න. දැන් ගිය වරුද්ද මේක අස්සෙනුත් අහගෙන සාමාන්‍ය මේවා අපි එච්චර ફોකස් දෙන්නේ නැති topic. හරි. නමුත් ඒක පවා අහලා තිබුණා exam එකේ. හරි. තව මොනවද HTML5 වල ආපු අලුත් දේවල්? Especially the header, footer, article, section, those are semantic tags. Semantically identify different things. Of course, you can use your CSS style those things as well, but they are more semantic tags. And then of course these things we discussed, the new form elements like number, date, time, then new graphic elements, the SVG and the canvas. So SVG is a scalable vector graphic file. What SVG එක link කරන්නත් පුළුවන් ඕනනම් SVG code එක ගිහලා දාන්නත් පුළුවන්. අපි මම ඒක explain කරා class එකේදී. Canvas එක ඇතුලේ ආඩ පුළුවන් එක graphical දේවල් කරන්න, චූටි animation උනත් කරන්න පුළුවන් canvas එක ඇතුලේ. Then of course audio tags, video tags, etc. The new things. Okay, so these are more semantic elements, especially this menu, header, footer, figure වගේ ඔක්කොම නේද? Article ඒ ඔක්කොම semantic elements. Right. But these are not semantic elements. මේවයි semantic meaning එකක් නෑ. ඒවා තියෙන තනිකර අපිට මොකක් හරි ඒ region එකට CSS දාන්න වගේ වැඩවලට. මේ ඔක්කොගෙම semantic meanings තියෙනවා. Okay. මේක table එකක්. සමහර ඒවායි semantic meaning එකක් විතරයි දෙන්නේ. වෙන UI meaning එකක් නැහැ. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට article කියලා ගත්තොත් එහෙම. හැබැයි table කියලා ගත්තොත් ඒක UI meaning එකකුත් තියෙනවා. form කියලා ගත්තොත් නම් පොඩි UI meaning එකක් තියෙනවා. But article, menu, they don't have any other meaning. Okay, only semantic meaning. Okay. Sections. Right. So, ඊළඟ මේ stacks මොනවාද? ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැන් ඒවා ටිකක් කරානේ mean ඔයගොල්ලන්ට mean තියෙනවා. ඔයගොල්ලෝ mean කරන්නේ. Right. So, එක එක stacks තියෙනවා. The server side, databases, client side JavaScript. Now jQuery is a special JavaScript library, right? Angular is a JavaScript library. Okay. මම මතක නැහැ මේක නම් හරි මේවත් බලාගෙන යනවා අහయ్యා VUE. Then server side you can go for PHP, ASP, Python or Node.js. Now Node.js is server side using JavaScript. Okay. Database we can go for SQL, MongoDB, SQLite, etc. Okay. එකට යන විදිය තමයි මේ තියෙන්නේ. අපි මේ LAMP වගේ අපි යූස් කරනවා ඊළඟ සෙමෙස්ටර් එකේ PHP කරද්දී Apache MySQL PHP අපි මම ඔයාලට කොහොමද LAMP වෙනුවට මම ඔයාලට ඉන්ස්ටෝල් කරන්න කිව්වේ SAMP නේද? SAMP හරි WAMP හරි. ඔය LAMP කියන්නේ Linux version එක. මෙයාගේ Windows version එකට අපි කියන්නේ WAMP කියලා. ඒතකොට LAMP Linux version එක WAMP Windows version එක. එහෙම නැත්නම් තව කට්ටියක් Apache friends ලා දෙනවා මේකම මොකද්ද SAMP කියලා නේ. same කියන්නේ එකම tools ටික වෙන වෙන package කරලා දෙන්න. හරි. ඊළඟ මේ පැත්තෙන් යනවා mean stack එක. MongoDB, Express, AngularJS and Node.js. හරි. ඊට අමතරව තියෙනවා Ruby on Rails කියලා stack එකක්. දැන් ඇත්තටම Ruby it's sort of outdated now. දැන් කවුරුත් Ruby කියන්නේ මැරෙන stack එකක්. But anyway, Ruby, SQLite, PHP. ඊළඟ මේ පැත්තෙන් තව එකක් තියෙනවා Python, Django and MySQL. හරි. ඔය combination අහයි ගිය පාර අහලා තියුන්නේ නැහැ. හරි. ඒ වගේ අහන්න පුළුවන් මේ Django stack එකට අයිති technology මොනවද? මේ තුනත් එක වෙනේවත් දායි ඔයාලට. හරි. මේ තුනත් එක වෙනේවත් දායි. හරි. මේක හොඳට බලාගෙන යන්න. ඔන්න examiner තව question අහන්න හොඳ slide එකක් තමයි මේක. Right, front end back end. Right. So that's it. ඊට වැඩි වෙලා ගියා හැබැයි කරන්න කමක් නැහැ. I think because otherwise you will be in trouble. Right, we'll take a small break and then we will doing the CSS. අනිත් ඒවාට අපිට ගොඩක් වෙලා යන්නේ නැහැ. හරි. මොකද ඒවා චූටි අනිත් එක අපි ළඟදී කරපුවානේ. Right, we'll be starting at 8:50. Okay, we'll continue. Right, so when it comes to CSS, you can write CSS in 3 places: inline, internal or embedded, and external. External CSS, you can either link it or import it. Okay, link it or import it. The effect is pretty much the same. Okay, so this is how you write inline style. So inline style means that style is applicable to that particular tag instance only. Right, for this paragraph only, we have the style attribute, style name colon style value semicolon style name colon style value blah 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 blah. Okay, that is how it goes. When it comes to CSS, if your style name has more than 1 words, they are separated by hyphen. හරි මේ font capture කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. හරි font size නේ දැන් එහෙමයි යන්නේ. background color අනිත් CSS වලට ගියාම full name එක පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. BG වගේ ඒගොල්ලෝ පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැහැ. background නම් කෙලින්ම ඒගොල්ලෝ background කියලා තියන්නේ. HTML වල තමයි BG වගේ කෙටි වචන තියුනේ. So that is inline CSS. Then embedded or external, there are so many selectors. Right? Selectors ටික ඔක්කොම හරියට දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕන. ඔබට සමහර ඒවා ගියපාර හම්බුණා. Right? We can style a particular tag or set of tags, then comma separated. වගේ තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට external නම් අපිට you have to write it in .css file. So one way is you can link it. Right? You can link it. Right? You can link it using link rel style sheet and type text CSS and href. It's very important. It is href, not src. Href. That is one way. Or else you can import. Right? You can import like this. You have to write it inside a style tag. And then you can write your rest of the style as well in the embedded style. So import URL, either file name or URL. File name is your local resource. URL if you are referring to outside another domain. Okay. But inside ඒවත් ඕන URL එක විදිහට දෙන්න. එතකොට ඔයාගේ domain එකමයි දාන්න. හරි. Right. So then there's a priority. Highest priority is given to the inline, then embedded to internal, then the external. Right, selectors, the element selector is there, something like h1 p etc. The class selector dot with dot class name, id selector hash your id, group selectors, right, multiple elements වලට දානවා නම් එතකොට comma දාන්නේ. Say h1 h2 දෙකටම මේ style එක දාන්නවා. Then the context selector එතකොට space දාන්නේ නැහැ ඔයා. tr එකක් ඇතුලේ td එකක් ඇතුලේ p එකක් තිබුණොත් කියලා කියනවා. එතකොට tr td p කියලා style එක ලිව්වොත් td එකක් ඇතුලේ tr එකක් ඇතුලේ td එකක් ඇතුලේ p තුනක් විතර මේ style එක apply වෙනවා. Right? So that is context. Right, so this element selector, right? The class selector dot, and if you want to restrict that class to a particular tag, you can say for example p.cls1, then this class can be applied only for paragraph. If you apply it to something like h1, the style is not applicable. There won't be any errors, but basically that will be ignored. Okay. If you have just the star, that means that class is applicable to any tag, as long as it makes sense. ID is basically hash. So ID, you can use it for one tag instance only, and tag instance can have only one ID, whereas class can be applied to one class can be applied to multiple instances, and also an instance can have multiple classes. So this is how you group it if you want to give it to multiple elements. Okay, multiple elements. So this means give this style to h1, h2, h3, all three. Okay. Right. So this context selector without comma may hierarchy එක ඇතුලේ හිටියොත් විතරක් මේ style එක දාන්න. So this means if you have italics inside h1, make it color, not other places. Okay. මෙන්න h1 එකක් ඇතුලේ italics තියෙනවා. දැන් මෙයා red වෙනවා. right. Preprocessors අපි වෙනම කතා කරා. ඒක ළඟදී ඊයේ පෙරේදනේ කතා කරේ නේද? ඒක කතා කරා කොහොමද preprocessor එකක් පාවිච්චි කරලා variables තියෙනවා නේද? එක එක concepts තියෙනවා අපිට පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. So then the preprocessor file we have to process it and get our CSS file. How to convert, taking something like this SCSS file. Something like this. These are the variables. නේද? අපි එක කතා කරන්නේ variables. ඊළඟට අපි කතා කරා nested tools දාන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා. ඉතින් nav එක ඇතුලේ UL generate වෙනකොට එන්නේ nav space UL එහෙම එන්නේ නේ. So then how to import another file. මේක import කරලා තියෙනවා අපි මේකට. ඒකත් අරගෙන තමයි conversion එක කරන්නේ. Then concept like if for even cases there මම ඩිබග් කරන්න කියලා W3 school එක ඒකට එකෙන් අහයි අනිවාර්යෙන් ගිය පාරත් අහතුණානේ. right, preprocessors. So we can customize some other code base. Say we have a template or something or some other website, we want to customize it to according to our requirement. If they have just used CSS, we have to go and change a lot of places. But if they have used something like LASS or something like that, we just have to change those parameters and we can build the CSS files by ourselves. It will preserve a lot of time. Okay, making අපිට මේක generate වෙනවා එතකොට නේ. right, so we have the variables, nested syntax, imports, mixins, we can extend, some operators are there and some functions are there. Okay, right. Variables පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ කොහොමද අපි? nesting, nav ඇතුලේ UL තියෙනවා. මෙතනට එතින් nav space මෙතන space එන්නවා නා. ගාන්න CSS syntax එකේ වලට අනුව වෙනවා. Then how to use the mixins, right? පාවිච්චි කරලා reuse කරන්න පුළුවන් කොටසක් තව තැනක extend කරන්නේ කොහොමද? And how to use concept like if loop, for loop එකක් වගේ දාලා එකපාර style ගොඩක් ලියන්නේ කොහොමද? And also import. Okay. Right, so then you must know that. So that's all about that's it, right? So in of CSS span, the difference between span and div. So div is not inline, it's a block tag. Span is inline tag. So if you want to style something inside a line somewhere here, use span. But if you want to style regions like vertical regions, you can always go for div. Okay, again I කිසිම සැකයක් තියෙන්න බෑ. right, border styles, border, dotted, dash, solid, double, groove, ridge, inset, outset ඔය බලාගෙන යන්න ඕන. මෙතන දැන් පින්තූර නැහැනේ. පින්තූර නැති උනට කමන්නේ ඔයා දැනගෙන යන්න ඕන. මේ කළා බලලා. අපේ note එකේ මම බින්දුරත් එක දාලා දුන්නා screenshot එක. හරියට float කරන්නේ කොහොමද මෙන්න එකක් වගේ දෙයක්. And these things මෙන්න මේවා ඉතා වැදගත් favorite questions අයවා CSS වල හරි. Descendant ඒ කියන්නේ මෙයාට පස්සේ මෙයා આવොත් child නේද siblings නේ general siblings and descendant the immediate එක නේද ඒ දෙක වෙනස්. Descendant කියන්නේ ඊට පස්සේ ඕන් ලාක આવොත්. Immediate කියන්නේ අර tag එකත් එක්ක ඊළඟට එන්න ඕනේ. ඊයේ පාරත් අහගෙන එහෙම immediate question එක. හරි. ඒක බලාගෙන යන්න මේ ටික හොඳට explain කරලා තියෙන example දියත් නේ අපේ note එකේ. All elements that are descendants of the specified element. That is descendant. Then child. Immediate children වලට තමයි child කියන්නේ. නේද? div එකත් එක්ක ඊළඟට immediate එන එක තියෙන්න ඕන p එක. එතකොට විතරයි මේක දෙන්න ඕන. div එකක් පිටිපස්සේ p එක දුවනවා. So something like this. මෙන්න මෙයාට තමයි style එක ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. දෙවෙනි එකටත් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ child. ඔව් ඒකත් එක්ක තියෙන ඒ set එකටම එනවා. හැබැයි වෙනස් tag එකක් ආව ගමන් ඒ style එක එන එක නවතිනවා. හරි. මොකද මෙයක් තින්නේ div එක යටින් තවත් paragraph නේ තින්නේ. Immediate children ඔක්කොම ළට හම්බ වෙනවා ඒක. හරි. Immediate එක්කෙනෙක් විතර නෙමෙයි. එයාත් යට තියෙන ඔක්කොම මේ set එකටම හම්බ වෙනවා. Right. Adjacent siblings, the general siblings, siblings ලා කියන්නේ parallel කට්ටිය නේ. Then of course you can even add your own elements as well. Right? You can add your own elements as well. Then you can have those tags. ඔන්නෝක බලාගෙන යන්න අලුත් කතන්දරයක්. Right? So that means you have introduced another element to your code base. So then you can use that tag. Whenever you use that tag, these styles are applied. Right? And so CSS වල ගොඩක් නැහැ තියෙන ටික හොඳට බලාගෙන යන්න ඕන. So then we had the JavaScript. මම Node.js නම් මනම් කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද ඒවා ළඟදී කරේ දැන් දවස් 3-4 කරින්නේ. JavaScript උත් එච්චර අමාරු නෑ නේද? ඒක නම් මතක ඇති. අපි පොඩ්ඩක් අර මේ මොකද්ද අපි තාම පේපර් එක ඉවර කරේ නෑ software engineering වල. so ඒක ඉතුරු ටික කරලා ඉමුවා. ඉතුරු ටික කරලා වෙලා තිබුණොත් ආයෙ එනවා JavaScript පොඩ්ඩක් revision එකක් දෙන්න. මොකද මේක papers කරනවට වැඩිය වැදගත් මේ දැන් දන්නවනේ පේපර් එකේ අහන්නේ කෙලින්ම slides වල අසවල් වල තියෙන දේවල් කියලා නේද? slides ටික බලාගත්ත එක තමයි වැදගත්. වැඩියෙන්. පේපර් එකක් තව කරත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ තනියෙන් තව පේපර් එකක් කරන්න. එකක් නෙමෙයි දෙකක් නෙමෙයි ඕන ගානක් කරන්න වලට අහන්න මොනවද කියන එක ගැන අයිඩියා එකක් එනවා. ඒකට ස්ටඩි කරන්න ඕන එෆර්ට් එක අඩු කරන්න පුළුවන් ඔයාලට. හරි. පේපර්ස් වැඩියෙන් කරාම ඔයා දන්නවා එක්සෑම් එකේ මොනවද අහන්නේ කියලා. නැත්නම් ඔයා බ්ලයින්ඩ්ලි ඔක්කොම පාඩම් කරන්න යනවා. ඉස්සෙල්ලා එක්සෑම් එකේ මයින්ඩ්සෙට් එක හොයාගන්න ඕන. එක්සෑම් එකේ මොන වගේ ප්‍රශ්නද අහන්නේ. එහෙනම් මම දැන් ඒකට ලෑස්ති වෙන්න ඕන. right. අපි පොඩ්ඩක් software engineering paper ඉවර කරලා මොකද අපි එක paper එකක් තාම ඉවර කරේ නැහැ නේ ඒකේ. right. We were talking about the 2020 paper. We were somewhere class diagram එකක් විතර නේද හිටියේ. මම ඔයාලට note එක දැම්ම මේ semester 3 object oriented essay වල එක topic එකක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැම්ම WhatsApp group එකට. ඒ note එක බලා ගන්න. මොකද object oriented diagrams අහලා තියුණානේ. Object oriented UML diagrams. මෙන්න මෙතන නැත්නම් නේ. Right. 26 we did. Right. 27. Which of the following is are not true regarding repository architecture? Remember, there are different type of architectures are there. The client server architecture, peer-to-peer architecture, then layered architecture, especially for the network related softwares. Okay. Then the repository architecture where you keep your data or any documents in a central repository and the applications connect to that. So very good example of repository architecture is database. So if you have client software like Swing application and database and different Swing applications or same Swing application in different clients, it's a repository architecture. Databases are repository. And YouTube is another example of a repository architecture. So everyone keep their document, videos in YouTube. It's a repository. It's a repository. And also, if you have a CMS, content management system, it's a repository where you have your documents, shared documents there. Even the Microsoft has SharePoint. Okay. Right now, let's be. Question is not true. When we are attention, then not true. බෝල කරලා තියාගන්නවා. අනිත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ answers මට ඔයගොල්ලෝ answers mark කරන් යනවා නේද? නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නේ කොහොමද නේද? ඔයගොල්ලෝ results එක ඒවන්න තව මාස 3ක්වත් ගනි. හරි. ඒකන්ද ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැන් අර answer sheet එක publish කරාම ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා subject එකේ ලකුණු කීයක් තියෙනවද කියලා දැන්. හරි. ඔක මහා මාරුවට නෙමෙයිනේ. ලකුණු ටික calculate කරගන්න එක ධන දාලා. Right. Which of the following is are not true regarding the repository architecture? Not true. It is used to applications where data is generated by one subsystem and used by another. Generated by one subsystem, that means data generated by this guy, used by that guy. But if they are used by different people, right, it's always good to have it in a central location. Then only this guy generate and this guy consume it, right? I think that is okay, correct, in general. But anyway, what we need is not true. It is a system architecture based on the concept of shared database. I don't know whether it is the correct answer because shared database is based on repository architecture rather than repository architecture is based on shared database. Okay. But I don't know, but they are highly related. They are highly related. Therefore, I will say yes. Right? But anyway, it looks little bit written other way around as well. But anyway, it says yes. It is suitable for control systems such as nuclear reactors, reactor control software. So that I don't know whether it, okay, so nuclear reactors, if there are any issues, having those in a central location can be risky as well. Okay, so usually to mitigate the risk, we like to have distribution, but I am not sure about this. But for the time being, I will say it is wrong because I am not very sure about whether it's a good idea. Keep things in a central location, because that if central location is destroyed, you are in trouble. Anyway, I will take it as a not true. It is an efficient way to share large amount of data. So basically, we want to share the data. I don't know whether it's very efficient way, but in general, I will take it because these are very debatable answers. It allows different policies on subsystems. In central repository, how do you say it? Different policies in subsystem because it's central, right? I will say no. So this is debatable definitely, but we have to pick an answer. I will go for C and E, 27. C and E. Yes, my answer is correct. Okay. Because the answer also said C and E. Right. So it's a very fuzzy question anyway. So you will find it extremely difficult to find answers for this one. Actually, I was not 100% sure. I was just arguing, and it happened to be correct. Okay. Right. 28. Which of the following is are true regarding client server architecture? Client server is where we have the server serving and clients requesting resources and consuming resources. Okay. And client server also we can make it centralized client server or distributed. But if they have not specifically mentioned, you can just consider it as a centralized client server. General functionalities need to be implemented by all services. What is that? General functionalities need to be implemented by all services. True, Eva. That I'm not very clear about what it is talking. It is used when data in shared database has to be accessed from range of locations. Right, so that can be the case because behind this server, you may be having the shared database as well. I will say yes. It can be used when the load of the system is variable. Load is variable. Is it good idea to go for a client server architecture? මේවට උත්තර ඔයාලට එහෙම කලින් පාඩම් කරන්න බෑ. ඔයාලට තියෙන දැනුම පාවිච්චි කරලා ඒ වෙලේ තර්ක කරන්න තමයි වෙන්නේ. සමහර ඒවා තර්ක කරත් ඒවා හරි ෆසි. මේ රටේ මිනිස්සු තර්ක කරන්නේ නේද? පොට්ටුවට ඡන්ද දෙනවද, අලියට දෙනවද, කාලෙක ගිහලා අලියට දෙනවා ෆසි ඉතින් නේද? අපිට එහෙම කවුරුත් හරි කියන්නත් බෑ, වැරදි කියන්නත් බෑ. ඒවයි ක්වෙස්චන් උත් තියෙනවා. මම කියන්නේ හැමදේම මෙහෙමයි කියලා. It can be used when the load on a system is variable. That I'm not very sure what they are talking. It is where a set of standalone clients provides specific services and set of servers call on the services. No, it is not servers calling clients calling the server. So therefore, this must be definitely wrong because it is other way around. Server is serving, clients calling, not server calls. Performance of the model may be unpredictable. In a way, yes. Because if we have so many clients, there will be performance issues. I would say yes. Because so many clients connecting to the same server. I accept that this is centralized client server because otherwise usually distributed they have to mention. I will say no for this one because I'm not very sure. Then my answer is B and E. Step 28. B, C, and E. So examiner has taken C also. Now we can see I just add a question mark. It can be, so examiner has taken C. It can be used when the load on a system is variable. Examiner කියන ඔවුලු variable වෙනකොට පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. මම ඒක හරියටම තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. But anyway examiner has taken. Okay. 29. Which of the following these are not users of application architectures? Now, application architectures are client server, right? Peer-to-peer, layered, repository, etc. Okay. Not use of application architectures. Basically, application architectures are to provide the infrastructure or the overall architecture or the overall solution for that problem. Okay. That is what is the architecture, the structure or the structure of the solution. Depends on your requirements. As a way of organizing the work of the development team, not the work of the development team. It's more into the technical thing, right? I will say no. As a requirement gathering tool, no. This is a design related thing. As a prototype to demonstrate the system for the client, no. Architecture is not just a prototype. As a vocabulary for talking about applications types, maybe yes. Because we can say it's a client server application, repository application, it's a layered architecture product. Maybe yes, okay. as a starting point of the architectural design. Yes, usually first thing we do is pick the architecture by considering various factors. So as a starting point for architectural design, I will take it as an answer. The expression is not. Therefore, I will go for A, B, C. Okay, A, B, C. Let's see the answer 29. A and B, C and D. So examine the things that A is correct. As a way of organizing the work of the development team. I'm not very sure whether architecture is something like that. Of course, once you decide the architecture, we can break it into different members, different team members. That is not a main point, okay? But anyway, examiner has taken this as an answer. Yakin architecture decide කරාම අපිට වැඩේ බෙදලා දෙන්න පුළුවන් team එකට. ඒක බොරුයි කියන්නත් බෑ, but I don't know whether it's a major thing, but examiner has taken that. 30. Which of the following is are true with respect to design patterns? Right. I told you that design patterns are well documented solution to commonly recurring problem. So they problem වලට solution එක නමක් දෙනවා. Factory pattern, strategy pattern, facade pattern, strategic pattern, right? Adapter pattern. කියලා අපි නමක් දීලා ඒ solution එක කියනවා මෙන්න මෙහෙමයි solution එක implement කරන්න කියලා. ඒකත් අපිට නිතර මේ ප්‍රශ්න වලට මුහුණ දෙන්න වෙනවා. That is called design pattern. Okay. So if you are really interested in design pattern after the exam, take the head first design pattern book. You can do a Google search and download. Take a freely ගොඩක් අය upload කරලා දෙන PDF එක. And I think it is starting with strategy pattern. Then it goes to the factory patterns, okay, observe patterns. It's not going to, that book is not covering all the design patterns, but it is covering about 5-6 most widely used patterns in a very interesting manner. Okay. The head first design pattern. Okay. Especially if you want to go into the software development field. Software development job එකට යන්න ඉන්නවා. හැමෝම එකම ඔබ්ජෙක්ටිව් එක නෑනේ සමහර ටීචින් වලට යන්න ඉන්නවා ඒගොල්ලොට නම් ඉතින් අත්‍යවශ්‍ය නැහැ බලන එක. Right. There are descriptions of the problem and essence of its solution. Yes. There are software libraries which can be reused when coding. No, they are not software libraries. They are just problem and the solution. It's not a software. Design patterns are not software that we have to develop. It's not a big thing. Just 1 or 2 class needed to develop that design pattern or use that design pattern. They should be very specific to be reused in different settings. If it is specific, difficult to reuse, right? If it is general or generic, then only it is easy to reuse. So therefore, I will not take it as an answer because it says specific. Specific දේවල් අපිට reuse කරන්න බෑ. General දේවල් තමයි reuse කරන්න. Design patterns are general solutions to common problems. They are a way of reusing abstract knowledge about problem and its solution. So that is really nice definition. ඔන්නෝක තමයි design pattern එක කියන එක ලස්සන වචන වලින් කිව්වොත් එහෙම ටිකක්. Advanced with the engineers like there are ways of reusing abstract knowledge that is high level without specific to a concrete problem, the general problem, then a general solution. So I really like that definition. I hope that is the answer. Otherwise, I will be really upset. It is always good to use design patterns. I don't know whether the word always is a very good, right? I would say it is good to use design patterns. And of course, if it is applicable, it is always good to use design patterns. මේ කොයි පැත්තට ගණිත දන්නේ examiner. If it is applicable, it is always good to use design patterns, but it doesn't mean that whenever you are developing software, always you have to use design patterns. ඒකත් මට දැන් හිතාගන්න බෑ කොයි පැත්තට දාන්න කියලා. Anyway, I will go for that, but it can be debatable answer because people can predict, interpret it differently. Okay. Anyway, I will go for A, D, and E. E is debatable. Okay. 30. Right. So examiner has taken only A, D. Examiner has not taken E. Right. You can see. Are always වචනෙන් තමයි වැඩේ ගහලා ගියේ. නේද? Always කියලා දිනන examiner කියන මේක වැරදි කියලා ඔයක තමයි මම කියන්නේ always පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඕන කියලා දෙයක් නැහැ කියලා. හරි? හැබැයි ඉතින් problem එක තියෙන හැමතැනම පාවිච්චි කර කමක් නැහැ. ඒකයි මම හිතුවේ මේ problem එක තියෙන හැමතැනම වෙන්නේ නැති කියලා. But examiner has not taken that as answer. Definitely because this word always. Okay. 31. Which of the following may not be included in configuration database? In a configuration database. Sales information, installation manual, database configure කරද්දී අවශ්‍ය වෙන තියව යහනවා. එතන installation manual ඕනේ. Sales information, I don't think that is needed when it comes to configuration of a database. Okay. System specification, that is system requirements. Usually we need it when you are developing, right? So therefore I will not take it, but I'm not very sure. System specification. Right. Program code. Right. Code එක ඕනේ නෑ නේද? ඒ කියන්නේ database එකේ code එක නම් ඕන වෙනවා. වෙන code නෙමෙයි. Company policies. Yes, right? So we have to consider the company policies when we are configuring the database. Policies වලට අනුව තමයි configure වෙන්නේ. Right. So C is little bit debatable, but I will go for it. Therefore, B, D, and E. B, D, and E. අමුතු උත්තර ටිකක් තියෙනවා. BD අරගෙන නෑ යාර අන් තියෙන 31ට A E. ඒ කොහොමද එන්නේ? අහන්නේ not ඒවා. not ඒවා අහන්නේ. not ඒවා අහද්දී not මම මේක දැක්කේ නෑ දැන් දැක්කේ. හරි. not ඒවා අහද්දී අරන් දෙන්නේ මොකද? A සහ එක හරිය අපි කොහොමද not කියලා ගත්තේ? E අරන් තියෙනවා. E ගත්තේ කොහොමද? company policy නැතුව කොහොමද configure කරන්නේ? 31. That is very strange answer. Okay. මේකත් සමහරවිට අපිට ඕන කියමු system specification එක. සාමාන්‍ය එක අත්‍යවශ්‍ය නැහැ හැබැයි configure කරද්දී. හැබැයි requirements බල configure කරනවා කියනකොට හැබැයි මට හිතා ගන්න බෑ කොහොමද E වැරදි කිව්වේ කියලා. Policies ඕන නැද්ද database එක configure කරද්දී. That debatable answer. Okay. Right. 32. Which of the following is are true with respect to free and open source software? You can semester 1 then paper First means you do not need to pay for the software. There is no such thing habaya. First kiyanne free and open source. Open source free kiyanne boho vita freedom eකට. හරි? මේක මේ do not need to pay for software කියන එක නෙමෙයි. හැබැයි මම දන්නේ examine එකම ගණේද කියලා. I will say no. Because everywhere, if you go to website or whatever, they say free means freedom, not free of charge. Source code of FOSS is always available. Oh, no, the free and open source can. Open source development encourage volunteers to participate in development process. Yes. If you modify an open source software, you should always make it open source. There is no such thing. Right? ඔකට කියන්නේ මොකද්ද එහෙම කරනවාට viral license එකකට යනවා කියලා. නේද? එහෙනම් viral license නැතුවත් අපිට for softwares තියන්න පුළුවන්. So because you can open it and you can take open source code and you can create your own proprietary software. ඒක තමයි freedom එක කියන්නේ ඒකට. හරි freedom එක කියන්නේ මේක දීලි වෙලා 60ටමාරක් condition දාන එක නෙමෙයි freedom එක කියන්නේ. මේක දීලා කියන්නේ ඕන මගුලක් කරගනින් කියලා. අන්න ඒකට තමයි freedom කියන්නේ. හරි. if you modify open source software මම ඒක නැහැ කියලා ගන්නවා මොකද ඒක එහෙම තියෙන first version උත් තියෙනවා හැබැයි but that is not the best first version. You can make a revenue from free and open source software. Of course, yes. Free and open source software අරගෙන විකුණන්න එපා කියලා පොත් කියන්නේ. ඔයා ඒක modify කරලා value add කරලා you can take license fees. I'll go for BCE. B, C, and E, correct. 33. Which of the following these are true with respect to software testing? Testing you have to do unit testing, integration testing, module testing, or the system testing. Then there are other testings like performance testing, usability testing, regression testing, user acceptance testing, then alpha testing, beta testing. Then we can categorize them as white or the glass box testing and black box testing, and so many things. Software testing reveals the absence of errors. It's not absence of errors, right? Presence of errors. The test කරාට පස්සේ errors ඔක්කොම test case pass නම් errors නැහැ කියලා reveal කරනවා. මේක මොකද කරන්නේ? සාමාන්‍යයෙන් test කරන්නේ errors තියෙනවා නම් හොයාගන්න සහ errors නැති කියලා බලන්නත් තමයි. errors නැත්නම් නැහැ කියලා දැනගන්නත් එපා. හැබැයි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කියන්නේ මේකේ තියෙන errors බලන්නයි test කරන්නේ. ඒක තමයි මේක නැහැ කියලා ගන්න. ඒක custom. Examiner can take it to other way also. It helps us to deliver 100% error-free software to the customer. Of course, that is the objective, but I don't know whether that is always possible unless you are delivering hello world software. But that is the objective, right? Objective එක තමයි ගන්න. It helps to reduce the maintenance cost. Yes, when bugs are already found, less maintenance cost. It demonstrates to the customer that the software meets its requirements. So we say that these test cases we executed, and these are the results, and these test cases were passed. Indirectly, yes, it demonstrates to the customer that the software meets the requirement because we have tested it and we have verified that they are working. I will say yes. Okay. Verification is to check whether we are building the right product. I explained this, right? Are we building the right product? Are we building the product right? Okay. Are we building the right product is validation. Are we building the product right is verification. So this is building the right product. Building the right product and validation. So true I will go for BC. D is debatable, but I will go for BCD. Okay, 33. BCD aranne. 33 ne. 33. B aranne CD aranti. CD aranti no. B aran නැත්තේ ඇයි? ඔය 100% කියන එක තමයි ඔය අරන් නැත්තේ. ඔන්න ඔක තමයි examiner කරන වැඩ. So it helps us to deliver 100% error-free software. I told you that commercial software is very rarely 100% error-free. Even your Windows operating system, they are going to fix errors of this operating system even in 2026. Right? So therefore, commercial software is very rarely 100% error-free. Okay. අන්නේ හන්දේ මේ උත්තරය අරන් නැත්තේ. Right, 34. Which of the following cannot be tested in static software testing? Right, static software. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඇත්තටම ටෙස්ට් කරද්දී කියන්නේ dynamic testing කියලා. Static කියන්නේ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට test case ලියද්දී review කරද්දී එහෙම test වෙන ප්‍රමාණය. අපිට වෙන දේවල් නේද? පොඩ්ඩක් search එකක් දාන්න මට ඒක හරියට මතක නැහැ. What is static software testing? Static testing is software testing technique which is used to check defects in software application without executing the code. Oh, මේ bugs හොයන්නේ අපි code එක review කරලා හැම. ඇත්තට මේ ඔයල reviews. Static testing is done to avoid errors at the early stage of the development as if it easier to identify the errors. Right. Manual examinations, hari code එක examine කරලා බලනවා. Automated analysis of the code එකේ තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න හොයන්න පුළුවන් analyze කරලා හරි. ඔයා අනවශ්‍ය විදිහට complicated logic ලියලා තියනවාද එහෙම කියලා. Right, so that is basically static testing means code reviews. Okay, code reviews. Cannot be tested in static software testing. You can review කරද්දී. Performance definitely we can't, right? Very difficult, right? Code එකක් දිහා බලලා performance බලන්න. හැබැයි performance ගැන එහෙම කරන්න පුළුවන් සමහර තැන්වල. මේක හොඳට code එක high performance එකේ තියලා නැද්ද කියලා. It's debatable, okay? Unused variables we can check. නේද? variable declare කරලා use කරලා නැත්නම් අපිට අහු වෙනවද නේද? record එක බලද්දී. Adapting standards, yes. So standard follow කරනවාද කියලා බලන්න පුළුවන්. User friendliness, no. User friendliness can be checked only by running the software. Usability කියන්නේ user friendliness තමයි. ඒක බලන්න බෑනේ code එක දිහා බලලා නේද? Performance, some portions we can but not 100%. ඒක නම් මේක නැහැයි කියලා ගන්නම්. හැබැයි මේක ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. සමහර දේවල් අපිට බලන්න පුළුවන් performance. Right. My answer is B, C. A is the doubtful one. Right. Examiner has taken A, D, E. not A වහන්නේ not A වහන්නේ. හැමතිස්සෙම මට මේ දෙක පටලව ගන්නවා. ඒතකොට හරිනේ A මම doubtful එක යන්නේ නැහැයි කියලා තමයි අරන් තින්නේ. D, E. හරි not A වනේ හරි. කොහොමද usability testing කරන්න බෑ code බලලා හරි. and performance බලන එකත් හරි අමාරුයි code එක දිහා බලලා සමහර දේවල් වෙයි බලන්න පුළුවන් but not everything, right? So A, D and E. 35. Which of the following is are not a type of development testing? Right? Development testing කියන්නේ මම developer කරන testing වෙන්නේ නැහැ. So development testing කියලා જાතියක් නැහැ. Right? Maybe the testing that we do during the development by the developer. Usually this is the unit testing. Right? Unit testing, interface testing, yes, maybe while we are doing the development we can test the individual interfaces. Beta testing एक development වත් නෙමෙයි නේද? අපි end users වලදී test කරනවා. Release testing, maybe yes, because we are doing a sort of a regression testing to check the health of the build. System testing ඇවිල්ලා development ම නෙමෙයි ඒක QA අය කරන්නේ. මේකත් දැන් නොබිනින්කෝ. මේකත් මම release testing කරන්නේ QA අය. I will go for A and B. Not A වහන්නේ හැමතිස්සෙම මතක තියාගන්න නැත්නම් අන්තිම ලකුණු එන්නේ නැත්තේ ඔයයි. I will go for C, D and E. 35. C, D අරන් තියනවා E අරන්. System testing. Developers ටල් කරනවා. It's debatable හැබැයි යාර system testing ගොඩක් කර ගන්න QA engineers. Right? So that's another debatable answer. 36. The test run to check that newly added functionality does not affect existing functionality is called regression testing. We discussed that. 36 B. Which of the following is are true with respect to test-driven development? Test-driven development means developing software with lot of emphasis on testing, especially unit testing. Even before writing the code, we write the unit test, which is fail, obviously because you have not implemented, but it has to be, those unit test cases must be passing after some time. Okay, your pass when on a fail which tests are written and executed after coding. Nah. test ලියන්න ඕන test driven programming වල code කරන්න කලින් test ලියන්න ඕන. Okay. It does not move to the next increment until the code that has been developed passes its test. It does not move to the next increment until the code that has been developed passes its test. එකක් හරිනේ test pass වෙනකන් එයාව release කරන්න බෑ. It cannot be used in plan driven development process. No, right? If you want, you can use it in whatever the approach. It implements as an automated test whenever possible. Yes, whenever possible, we try to automate it. Because testing and writing test cases are extremely boring. It's not as interesting and challenging as designing and developing software. So designing and developing software is extremely challenging and therefore very interesting. But writing test cases, executing test cases are somewhat boring tasks, somewhat boring jobs as well. When implementing a new functionality, it has to run the test, rerun the test. Yes, maybe because we may have disturbed the currently working functionality, right? So therefore I will say yes. So 2A I will go for BDE 37. BDE, correct. 38. The given following diagram shows the software evolution process. X can be change request, release planning. ගොඩක් අය මෙතන ගන්න evaluate කරනවා change එක කරන්න ඕනේද කරන්න අත්‍යවශ්‍යද කරන්න නැතුව ඉන්න පුළුවන්ද කොච්චර වෙලාවක් යනවද කොච්චර cost එකක් යනවද නේද. So then release planning, implementing the change and system release. මේ පැත්ත වෙනවා fault repair the platform adaptation system. So most probably this is reviewing the change request, validating requirements, design for the change, impact analysis, eliminate the cost, seek approval. මෙතන ගොඩක් අයට අපිට impact analysis එක කරන්නත් වෙනවා, seeking approval කරන්නත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? We have seek approval for the change, whether we go for that change or we are not going to do that change, at least for the time being. I will go for C and E 38. C අරගෙන නැද්ද අරන් තියෙන 38 C අරන් තියෙනවා E අරන් නැහැ. Seeking approval අරන් නැහැ. මෙතන ගොඩක් අයට බෑ approval එකක් ගන්නවා. හරි හැබැයි අරන් නැහැ examiner අරන් තියෙන්නේ validating මොකක්ද අරන් තියෙන්නේ impact analysis විතරයි. 39. Which of the following needs are true with respect to software maintenance? The term software maintenance is mostly used for changing custom software. Custom software එකක් කියන්නේ අපිටම හදපු software එකක් ඔය change කරන එක තමයි නේද ගොඩක් අය maintenance කියලා කරන්නේ. I will say yes. Software maintenance cost is usually less than development cost. No, usually maintenance cost is higher because we are when we are using the system, we may have to do a lot of changes. Less than කියන එක එච්චර හොඳ වැඩක් නෙවෙයි. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් නම් less than නෙමෙයි maintenance cost is higher than development cost. Maintenance cost decreases as software is maintained. No, right? Usually maintenance costs increase due to so many changes. Aging software can have high support cost. Yes, aging කියන්නේ පරණ වෙන්න මේකට දැන් වෙන change කරලා තියෙන්නේ. සමහර improvements වෙන්න පුළුවන්, but in general it's now deteriorating the structure. Yes. Maintenance does not normally involve major changes to the system architecture. That is, yes. Usually we don't do major changes to the architecture, but rarely we have to do that also. But this says does not normally. Normally කියලා තියෙනවා එක ගන්න. So then the answer is ADE 39. ADE, correct. ADE. Which of the following these are not activities of software re-engineering process. අපි re-engineering කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා discuss කරා. Source code translation, requirement validation, program modularization. මේක මොකක් හරි වගේ reference book එකේ හරි slides වල ඇති හරි ඇති ඔක අනිවාර්යෙන්. හරියට මේ slides එකේ තියෙන steps ටික තමයි ඔය අහලා තියෙන්නේ. එක්ක slides වල නැත්නම් reference book එකේ. හරි. Which of the following is are not an activity in software re-engineering process? Re-engineering means you look at the existing product and try to understand the objectives that we try to move, then use the new technologies and again implement it. Source code translation, requirement validation, program modularization, adapting to standards, data re-engineering. ඒක නම් මට ෂුවර් නෑ මොකක්ද කියලා. හරි බලන්න ආන්සර් මොකක්ද කියලා මට ෂුවර් නෑ. So they say B and D තමයිලු බොරු ඒවා. අනිත් ඒවා හරිලු. Source code translation, program modulation, data engineering. ඒක මතක තියාගන්න. Right, that's it. Okay. Right, so we will not be doing any other software engineering papers. Okay, so because you have the papers and answers, everything. But if you want me to discuss a specific question, because we have so many doubts, if you mention, we may discuss those. Okay. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට Thursday class එක තියන්න ඕනේද නැද්ද? මම හිතන්නේ ඕන වෙන එකක් නෑ වගේ නේද? Or maybe about one or 1 an hour session. Right, small session එකක් ඕනනම් තියන්න පුළුවන් බලමු. Right, maybe just few නේද? එහෙම ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ questions තියුණොත් විතරක් මම තියන්නම්. If you have post at least 5 questions, okay, තියමු නම් මොනවාද කරන්න ඕන? මේ වගේ revision එකක්ද random ටිකක් තමයි කරන්නේ නේද එදාට. Maybe few maths question, maybe JavaScript revision එක හරි සහ නේද ඒ වගේ පොඩි ටිකක් කරමු. වැඩි නෙමෙයි සමහරට පැයකමාරක් දෙකක් වගේ. කොහොමද අපි ගොඩක් අය පැය දෙකක් විතර කරන්නේ. Right, so we'll have, and also if you have any specific questions, make sure you post it to the WhatsApp groups, your respective WhatsApp groups, so then it's more productive to you. Okay, right, any other questions? Okay, so we will have another session on Thursday, right? Right, so we stop at this point then. Right, thank you.